Head on the swivel, man.
Today we get to see the ballsiest shop worker in Leeds, England go to work on a gun-wielding robber. Hi everyone, welcome to today's lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa. I already told you this one is from Leeds in England. Is robbing joints with a pistol, and you see this guy show up at this first place and he puts a gun in the clerk's face. Clerk's like, whoa, dude, whatever. And so he is then going to go around to the other side and steal all the money out of the register. When he gets done stealing all the money out of the register, as he's walking away, he is going to point that gun at somebody else who I think he sees outside. Goes to a second place very shortly thereafter, and he starts robbing this, joint in a similar manner. But this clerk here is mopping the floor. Is like, I'm not about that. So he's just going to run up and grab a hold of the guy in a choke from behind. Dude is then going to transition this gun that he had from his left hand back to his right hand, beat our clerk with it a couple times, hit him in the head with it multiple times. However, that showcases that the gun starts to break, and our clerk realizes, oh, you dummy, this is a BB gun. So now they're going to talk about that a little bit, and the violence has toned its way down. Dude's mask fell off of his face during this, and therefore, because of that, police were able to identify this dummy. And if you go read the news story, he is going to run off with his broken BB gun and jump in his car and go off. But police did eventually, because his mask fell off and slipped off during this, the clerk grabbing a hold of him, he was sentenced to 10 years and 4 months. And I don't understand the English legal system. There's additional licensing and all these things, whatever. But they did catch him. Thankfully, they commended this clerk as well for being brave and stopping him. Hey, strong work, though. Of course, I wish that our shop worker had some better tools available to him. Come on, England. Respect the right of the people here to defend themselves, would you? Yes, crime happens all over, friends, and listen, you got to be ready for this. This looks like Houston, Texas, right? Same stuff happening all over the world. Nobody is coming to save you. You got to protect yourself, which is why I believe in the right to keep and bear arms. And it sucks that, Londoners and Englanders are not given their right to keep and bear arms. They used to be, and now it's not, and that sucks, okay? But listen, in this case, you just got to comply. Now, on the other hand, this guy decides, you know what, I'm going for it, and I admire his grit and his sand. Now, that said, listen, here in the United States, you shoot this guy in the back, no problems whatsoever. Guy's threatening everybody, including you, in that store with a gun. Remember, it's not about where you shoot someone, it's about why you shoot them. And do you have objective, reasonable evidence for a deadly threat here? Yes, you are absolutely at risk. The other clerk in the store is absolutely at risk of death or great bodily harm. You shoot this guy in the back, you're not going to have any legal problems from that whatsoever. Now, of course, he's in England. He doesn't have those rights. He doesn't have any of that stuff. So what is he going to do? He's going to decide to go MMA on this guy. Now, listen, he could have just gone out the door, and that would have been a choice that he could have made legally, but he decides instead to grab a hold of him. Now, I'm going to say this. A lot of points for courage here. Not a whole lot of points for technique. This is one of the reasons I recommend. This is a standing grappling choke. This is a rear naked choke. But recognize now the dude's got a bottle in his hand, and he's going to attack him with it, and he's going to then transition the gun to his other hand, attack him with it again. So if you're going to choke somebody, you need to understand how to do that, and even from a standing position. Recognize as well, in the United States now, as well as elsewhere, a rear naked choke is considered the use of lethal force, and courts are more and more seeing it that way. In this case, guy's threatening everybody with what everyone reasonably believes is a gun. I don't have any problem with the use of lethal force. Just recognize you put somebody in a rear naked choke who's just yelling at you or whatever, the courts may not like that very much. I also want
for somebody to, whether it's a BB gun or a real gun, you decide to point that bitch. First of all, you robbing people with a BB gun, something wrong with you, man. Something wrong with you, man. It's almost like they think it's a movie or something, man. Shit crazy.
I want to recognize that he didn't beat him with the bottle. The news stories that I've linked in the description says that he hit him over the head with the bottle. It wasn't the bottle, it was the gun. So he has hand switched that gun. This is one of the reasons in the 5Ds+1 that we say we want to dominate the gun first or the knife, that hand with the gun, the arm with the gun, because otherwise our bad guy will hand switch. And listen, the fact that this guy is not very good with this rear naked choke, that he's not skilled in the technique, if this gun was real or that guy was willing to use it, he absolutely could have killed him dead. And so, luck counts here. The fact that it was a fake gun, that he didn't know it was a fake gun at this point, absolutely comes into play. But recognize right here that that gun is out there in space. And this is one of the things I learned from Skip Hancock and Lawrence Robinson, that originated with Ed Parker. Don't send a weapon into orbit only to have it orbit back around and come back to you, right? Which is why we dominate. Now instead, you're going to see him here, and we talk about those in the 5Ds plus 1, right? So we cover the distance first. He did a good job at that. Then we deflect the gun away from us so it can't get to us. He struggled to do that. Now dominate the gun, the hand with the gun, and the arm with the gun in that order. Once we do that, we got to start distracting. We usually distract by inflicting pain and injury on the other guy, disarm, and then disable him, keep him from being able to hurt us further. If you can't do that, when you try to go down the cycle here, instead of focusing on the more priority items, the bigger priority items first, you're gonna struggle. And he did struggle here. Thankfully now, well, so he's kind of in a strength battle here for it, but now he recognizes that the gun's just a BB gun. Well, once you recognize it's not a real gun, I wouldn't even worry about it anymore. Remember, you're fighting a person, not a tool. I'd have beat that dude like a rented donkey, right? I'd have just beat the brakes off him and realized that for what it is, but recognize he still can hit you with that tool, and that makes it harder, it hurts more than if he just hit you with his fist. Now, that said, dude gets away. Okay, fine. Not my job to detain you, take you into custody or any of those things. I'm glad the cops got him. I'm really glad this clerk had the sand to step up and protect himself and everybody in the store against this guy. Good job, bro. You covered your ass.
Coach ass. Hey, that was crazy. That was crazy.